honestly, sellers are calling a timeout. So before we get into the actual data here and what's going on in actual marketplaces, what do you two think about all this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with it. I think in terms of, they have a map here showing the different locations where price correction is spreading. I think that in some markets it could be more so than others, but what I've seen here locally is, I mean, value is not going down, and the market is still tight, and I'm still looking at a lot of multiple offers for homes.
I have to totally agree with that, 110%. When they say the home price correction is spreading, what do they mean about home price correction?
That's the problem here.
Yeah.
What does home price correction mean?
Well,
Because
what does that mean?
well, so what do you think it means without me explaining this here? Like you're in the business. When you hear home price correction, what comes to mind immediately?
Well, I think it's to imply that home pricing has been overpriced or the homes have been overvalued or overpriced. And the correction is that they're coming back to quote normal, unquote,
Right.
whatever normal will be. So I think that's to allude to that. That's my sense.
So here's what they said. And they go on to say housing bulls got this all wrong. That's great. 98 housing markets have seen home values fall from their 2022 peaks, according to the Burns Home Price Value Index. So I've never heard of this before. It's apparently from John Burns Real Estate Consulting. So I went to look it up, and it measures home value trends for all homes, new and resale, in 133 markets. And it's apparently trademarked. So I went further into this, and when you look at the John Burns website here, I mean, we're pretty in tune with the market. I would argue I know what I'm talking about when it comes to real estate. It's one of those, and Sarah's laughing, but I'm being serious. I think it's just an index of where you could have sold your home for versus what you could sell it for now.
Mhm.
And they go on to say that this company was founded in 2001 and they want better analytics around housing. But then when I go to the local data, to your point, so let me show you August numbers, right? So August numbers in Chester County, we saw a 9.5% increase from August 2021 of last year. And year to date, we're seeing the median home sale price rise 10.4% in Chester County. In Delaware County, 13.1% increase year over year through the end of August, 10.3% increase in the median home sale price year to date. In Montgomery County, 6.4% increase year over year from August of last year, and an 8.1% increase in the median home sale price year to date. And in Philadelphia, which is, I would argue, a little bit of a different market than these suburban counties, and they're all different, but this is probably the most. We've seen a zero change in the median home sale price and a 1.9% increase year to date, year over year. So I don't know what they mean here. I think it's just some index or statistic that they came up with that it says, well, and they go on to explain here, while it's common for median list prices to drop around this time of year, it's not common for home values or comps to fall because of seasonality. And they're saying this is sharper. I'm not seeing homes sell for less money. I don't see any data that indicates that. You're saying you're talking about multiple offer situations. I don't know what the heck they're talking about here.
I don't know where they are. I don't know where. They're definitely not here in our territory. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
It says in significantly overvalued housing markets, Moody Analytics thinks that the price drop could range from 5 to 10%. So, but I don't know where they think that's going to be coming from. I mean, pretty much this weekend, my 3 offers that I put in, they all got shut out because one, there was multiple offers. There was 12. The other one, there was 5, and the other one, 6. So, and they all went well over asking price. So we're definitely not seeing that there's going to be any shift in property values being significantly lower.
Right. I mean, I think if anything, as we've kind of talked about before, the amount of appreciation that you may be getting, could slow down to a more normal market, but that's not like dipping down below. That's not reducing the value.
Right.
This is almost like an appraiser saying, hey, the home's not worth that much, even though 10 people were willing to pay that price.
Exactly.
And that's how I equate this here, because this home price index, it measures home value trends. So could a seller have sold their home for more a couple months ago than they could now? I think that's possible. Doesn't mean the price went down. We're still
Right.
seeing prices appreciate. It's just maybe they didn't catch that lightning in the bottle because inventories come up, right?
Mhm.
And that's a factor here. And and it hasn't even come up that much.
Right.
We're seeing barely over a month's supply in the suburban counties, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery.
Which is not much.
It's,
Right.
and now that's up from like a 0.78 month supply. So these were the numbers that we were seeing, and you can check out all our videos on YouTube. We do this every month, and we give you the exact figures. And even in the city of Philadelphia, we've seen inventory rise from in the mid 2 month supply to now like a 3.5 month supply. Until that gets to 6,
Mhm.
prices are not going down.
Right.
The fantasy value of what you could sell your home for, maybe it was a little higher a couple months ago. The reality is these people aren't moving. So prices aren't going down because of that. So to me, that's a number one. I mean, this is just dead wrong here. I don't see any way that this could be construed otherwise. And to me, it's just a BS article. I mean, it's a fantasy number. It's some index. It's like when the people try to argue that the baseball players are better than they are when they like get out. That's a more valuable out, but then they don't score. Like they're not looking at what's actually going on in the game. So the analytics can say whatever you want. This to me doesn't make a lot of sense here.
I'd agree.
Here's number 2. The housing downturn will soon spread beyond housing. So what they explain here is that on a year-over-year basis, the ongoing housing downturn has seen new home sales and existing home sales fall by 29.6% for new home sales, 20.2% for existing home sales. And the financial pain of and when they define housing downturn, it's less home selling. This is accurate. I don't have a problem with that piece of data, but it affects other things outside of real estate because when someone buys a house, think about all the people that go to work, contractors, painters. I mean, just the home improvement industry in general, and then you have moving companies, and you have title companies, and mortgage companies, and all those things, insurance. I mean, all these people get put to work. So, what do you think about number 2 here? The housing downturn is affecting other parts of the marketplace, and really, they're talking about GDP and money that's going into the economy.
Yeah, I can agree with some of that because as soon as home building slows down, that like you said, Tom, there's a lot of jobs associated with that. There's a lot of materials that are associated with that. Though it could definitely affect those other numbers. Year over year, the average home equity appreciation was $60,200.
Mm-hmm.
That was from August of 2021 to August 2022, year over year. So a lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes right now, which is amazing. So with that being said, if there is going to be less sellers, people are going to look into home improvements. So I do think that people will still do home improvements. They'll still fix up what they have if they're not willing to sell. If they're not willing to sell because they can't purchase with a reasonable interest rate or what they would consider
Right.
a reasonable interest rate, which I still think 6% is pretty reasonable.
Mhm.
But if they say, well, I'm locked in to a 3% right now, why do I want to get into a 6%? Maybe they're going to consider home improvements.
Right. And I agree with that as well, which then would put some of these people back to work just in a different sector. But yeah, I can agree with all of that.
Well, and housing does make up 17% of the GDP on average. It's more than energy because there's so many things that happen. And that's why everyone wants realtors in their referral groups, because when someone buys a house, like think about all the people that they come to you with. Do you have an electrician? Do you have a contractor, an insurance, mortgage, title insurance? Maybe I need an estate attorney to plan what happens if I die and who gets the house, all these different things. So I do agree with less people moving. That could affect parts of the housing market, especially those like ancillary services. And you look at what mortgage companies are going through right now. I mean, they're really in a lot of trouble because the refis are gone, the purchase applications aren't there. The flip side is, though, there are a lot of people renovating and putting their cash into that because they have more equity to tap into, and they also have more disposable income because they can afford more, even though they're not spending it. So that I do agree with. If there's a real housing downturn here, and again, to give some real statistics, it's the less number of homes selling. I mean, that's been the constant issue that we've seen. So year to date, compared to 2021 in Chester County, we've seen a 16.5% decline in the number of closed sales through August. In Delaware County, we've seen a 7.5% decline. In Montgomery County, we've seen an 8.9% decline. And in Philadelphia, we've seen a 5.1% decline in number of closed sales. So now it's not 20. I didn't hear 20% there at all.
Right.
And these are national numbers. So you got to look at the local market. Our market much healthier than some of these other places where, California, Florida, where the markets are a little more volatile. And that's always been the case, even through 2008 and 9 and 10 when the market was really in a lot of trouble. So number two looks like it's legitimate. Here's number three, and then I'm going to come back to the first one here. Sellers are calling timeout. So again, what does this mean? And these headlines are horrible, by the way. I don't understand. Like, if you didn't know what you were looking at here, this is not very. You should see Stacey's face right now. It's I got the raised eyebrow and everything. So as the pandemic housing boom fizzled out over the summer, we saw inventory jump across the country. And in bubbly markets like Austin and Boise, the inventory jump was greater than 300% between March and August. But the inventory spike is already fizzling out. And then they go on to talk about active listings on Realtor jumped by 106,000 plus homes in May, 102,000, 128,000 in June and July, respectively. August, we saw a major slowdown to 31,000 new listings. And now they're predicting, according to Altos Research, that inventory will fall. So what do you believe there? What do you see happening there?
I mean, I think that August is a month that typically you do see less activity. People are getting their last vacations in for the summer. They're kind of shifting into the next season. So I think it does make sense that there would have been less inventory for August, but I don't think that that's something that's going to actually be continuing into the fall. I think that we're going to see a little bit of an uptick.
And from what I've heard so far from my fellow agents, people are seeing it become more busy than it was in August. There's a lot more activity around showings and offers. So I think, as Sarah said, August is notoriously a slower month all the way around, just focused on vacations, kids getting back to school, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how September pans out.
So I agree. And the challenges with national numbers like this, they're talking about Austin, right? Austin has a ton of new construction. New construction is very difficult right now, and builders are having a hard time because of inflated supply costs and other things that really don't affect our market. So I just did some quick math on my calculator here, my cell phone. So we're at a 1.04. I just got the August numbers. So Chester, Delaware, Montgomery County was between a 1.02 and 1.04 month supply. We were seeing like 0.78 in those counties back in May and June. That's a 33% increase just over that time. In Philadelphia, we were just above 2 months. Now we're about 3.5 months. So again, that's a significant jump in terms of new homes that are coming to the market. So you almost got to compartmentalize this to new construction versus existing home sales.
Right.
And that's where this data can be a little misconstrued. I'm actually grateful we're not in one of those new construction environments, because the builders are really difficult to deal with anyway for consumers. They're never delivering on time. And I mean, I would argue we've also got a better marketplace than Boise and Austin, a little more robust economy here. I mean, there's a lot. So you can't compare these things apples to apples all the time. And you're right about August, Sarah. I mean, historically, that's like one of the slowest months of the year. So I don't agree with this at all. And I see more sellers thinking about coming to the market because they see the market starting to go the other way a little bit. Are you seeing that as well?
They don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
So they definitely want to know what the value is in the home that they have so that they can make informed decisions.
Right.
But I do see that they don't want to miss the market. So that's what they say.
Yeah. A lot of like, is it still a seller's market? Like, am I still, in a good position here? Yeah, for sure.
So Lance Lambert wrote this article. So I wonder if maybe we'll email him, see if we can get him on the show. Let's see. I mean, who knows?
Good
But
idea.
I'm looking at him right now, and I just don't. There's national versus local, and that's always the challenge with this stuff. There's just such a bad narrative out there about housing. I cannot disagree with this more. And there's so many people coming out of the woodwork saying this isn't what's going to happen. I'm just going to put it plain and simple. Until inventory rises, this is the market we're dealing with.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
We were talking about, you're talking about, you had 3 people that lost out over the weekend.
Yes.
We did a training today. You were at the training with Zara from our team. She beat out 6 other offers and had to go $57,000 above the asking price for a home on a busy road in Phoenixville.
Wow.
I think you actually wrote an offer on
I
this
did.
house.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
because I monitor all the things on the back end. So, I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and she waived inspections. It's when, and that was, I think it was day 1 that it was,
Mhm.
I mean, it went, what, one day 2?
Yeah.
It
And
was
it needed work too.
right,
And
right.
it wasn't like a completely renovated move-in ready home that went 50,000 over asking. I mean,
Right.
we're in a very narrow price range here.
Yeah.
It was on a busy street in Phoenixville.
Yeah.
It was in walking distance.
I mean, it's
to
a
some
route.
things.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not a busy street. Like, this is
Right.
like a route. Like, it's a state route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I think what the listing agent did there that was smart was where they priced it at.
Mhm.
They put it at a point that then brought in a lot of people, got a lot of attention, and had people going in, going over ask, waiving different things, putting down a lot. Which is, I think, the smartest way to do a listing. Like, you look at all those numbers and you have a strategy in mind when you put it up.
Mhm.
And it obviously worked.
Yeah.
So we're going to all, it sounds like we all agree this article. I think point number 2 is the only one that was really valid, because if there is a housing downturn, there's less homes selling, and we're coming off the most homes selling ever in a single year. So
Mhm.
it's not always going to keep increasing. That just doesn't
Right.
happen.
Right.
The last thing I want to come back to here, they talked about prices going down. So our friends at Keeping Current Matters, and Nick, I'll share this with you. Maybe we can put it on the on the video here that we do later. Is that they have 6 different sources of what their January 2022 appreciation forecast was compared to where it is now. Fannie Mae, originally 7.6% appreciation. They've revised their predictions to 16%. Freddie Mac went from 6.2% to 12.8%, more than double. Same thing with Fannie Mae. NAR, 5.1 to 11.5. Ivy Zelman, 3% to 10%. So she tripled hers and then some. The Mortgage Bankers Association, 5.1 to 9.9%. And the Home Price Expectation Survey, 6.3 to 9.3% appreciation. So I don't see anyone here. And I've
Wait,
never.
and what were the time frames there?
So this was their prediction in January to where it is through the month of August.
Okay.
So 8 months later, everyone here pretty much doubled, with the exception of the Mortgage Bankers Association, and they just missed it. They went from 5.1 to 9.9%. So we saw a range of 3 to 7.6 that's now been revised to 9.3 to 16% year over year. And we're seeing 8 to 10% in the suburban counties and about 2% in Philadelphia. So and Philadelphia is tough because you got places like, I mean, the neighborhoods just differ so much that it's such a diverse area. So I this what was the name of this the Bob, what was it called? I got to find it here.
Oh, his.
You know what? You should just forget about it because it's inaccurate. The Burns Home Price Value Index. The Burns Home Value Index, we're going to flush that down the toilet, I think, is the idea
We're gonna
here.
burn the
Yeah,
Burns.
there we go. I like it. Light it on fire. So, these people just got to be more responsible with the data they're putting out there, because someone will read this
They're not, though.
and not going to transact.
Right.
But they're affecting people's lives here. That's
Yes.
the problem. And
Yes.
I fundamentally believe we help people as agents.
Mhm.
And Lance Lambert and Fortune Magazine, that they're just doing the consumers a disservice.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Yep. I agree.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we are going to talk about Zillow getting accused of wiretapping home buyers and a lawsuit that is happening right now. This is Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor, because this isn't a transaction to us. It's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's Tom, Toole with an E.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliance's Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. She's Stacey Mitchell. And we've got Nick Wolf back behind the camera like our very first show. Very exciting. And we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group with RE/MAX main line, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. So we've got our Zillow segment here. And I joke around about this because they just dominate the real estate news. Not a great story for Zillow. So Inman News is reporting that Zillow was accused of wiretapping home buyers' visits to its website. There's a lawsuit, one of several, filed against Zillow this month on similar grounds that argues Zillow is breaking the law by recording the way consumers interact with its website. So what this means, and I want to explain this so everyone can understand. It's a class action lawsuit. So that's a big deal in and of itself. There's more than one plaintiff here. Zillow's been looking over the shoulder of people who visit Zillow's website and argue that the company is violating wiretap laws. So there's a couple rumors. They filed a suit on Monday in Washington State, and it says that Zillow deploys computer code that allows it to record a consumer's interaction with its website, then create a video reconstruction of those interactions. So basically, if you go up to the left-hand corner and click a tab, they know that you're clicking that tab. If you're going to go to the right and click, I want to view an agent profile, they know you're clicking the agent profile. So they're watching you navigate their web page on, I guess, some sort of video or mimicking software. And it also claims that recording consumers' online interactions result in the electronic equivalent of looking over the shoulder of each visitor on Zillow's website during the entire time they're on the website. At another point in the complaint, it describes the session replay it's a tongue twister, the session replay code used to record consumers' activity as being illicit and secretive. So what do you think about all this? I mean, this is basically like screen monitoring software is, I think, a good way to describe this here.
So then what? It takes whatever data they, are gathering on you. And then is there a person that sits there and looks at it and like comes up with like a profile for you? Or I'm guessing like the software itself and like, I don't know, what do they do with it?
So I think they use it to track mouse movements, clicks, scrolls, zoom ins, window resizes, keystrokes, text entry, and other forms of the way the user navigates and interacts through the website. And I have heard in conferences and different things that Zillow basically can identify people that are going to be ready to list their home based on their interaction with their website. So this is consistent with what I've heard just being a professional and being in the industry and understanding all this. So I think they're using it to determine behaviors. It's just to build a different algorithm is
Right.
what it sounds like.
Right. And probably be able to do something to their websites to make potential consumers more proactive in buying. I don't know, but
Right.
it's going to lead to something more, whether they use more services of Zillow,
Right.
like their mortgage company.
Right. Or it would like,
Mhm.
kind of, I don't want to say like steer them into looking at different things, but it may
Mhm.
kind of,
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
affect what they're going to see next or
Mhm.
how different information comes up or I guess like notify different agents or partners reach out to this person because of the clicks that they've done recently. It seems like they could be getting ready to think
Mhm.
about listing. Yeah.
And they could position different agents based on agents' performance
Right.
and the performance of the consumer. They could probably match them
Match
up,
that up.
to have a better outcome.
Right.
I don't know.
So I'm wondering for the people that sued, like what happened to them that they realized that this happened? Like,
How
'cause
did they
I
know?
because I think that like a lot of times with many, not just like when you go on to Zillow, but so many different things, like you're accepting the terms and conditions. You're not reading through all of that. Like,
No.
so maybe it does kind of outline that there, but I'm just like curious as to what was like the giveaway that made people realize I think I've got like a lawsuit here.
So that I don't know. In the lawsuit, what is clear is that they're looking at wiretapping laws because that they're saying, well, I should have privacy here. I should be able to look at my computer and not have to worry about it. Similar to Pennsylvania versus other states where you have to have two-party consent to intercept audio communications.
Mhm.
In New Jersey, you only need one, so someone can record you without you knowing it, and it's okay. Um, which in and of itself is crazy to me. But
Right.
that's what's going on. So, and there was a suit filed in Pennsylvania by a man named Jamie Huber, who sued Zillow in federal court, as well as Lowe's and Expedia of using that browser tracking technology. And this was back on September 8th, so about let's call it 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago. And it's because they're viewing the browsing sessions as if someone is like doing a screen share. We do this kind of training all the time at the office where I go into people's CRM and I say, okay, let's look at your CRM. Let's
Mhm.
see where the calls are. We're going to be doing more of this stuff and that's all fine because everyone knows what's going on and I'm the one doing it.
Mhm.
But they're recording that and people don't. And I do agree with you. I think they probably agreed to this and didn't know about it.
Right.
No one ever reads the terms of service.
Never.
I don't believe it. But if they did, they wouldn't agree to this. So I just think that the government needs to say, here's the standards for this stuff, period, because everything's getting recorded right now. If you think you're not getting recorded, I got some news for you.
Right.
Everything's getting recorded. Just know that you're being monitored everywhere at all times. Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you're not being recorded, everything you say is being captured
Right.
and it's being utilized for advertising purposes because once you say one thing, it's
yeah.
going to pop up on some feed somewhere.
Right. When like what's funny about some of that stuff is like, yeah, like I don't like it, but sometimes it is convenient. Like if you're like, what was that like shirt that I was looking at on whatever website? And then all of a sudden it's there. And
There
you're
it
like,
is on my
oh,
feed. Right.
there you go.
Well, and it's interesting this suit was in Pennsylvania, the other one, because that's where you need two-party consent. And
Mhm.
every state is different. Now, the laws in Washington are similar to Pennsylvania's, so that's probably why it happened there. And none of these people are responding to any of this. So I mean, these companies are going to wait and see. It's just I think this is the expectation right now. I mean, I would guess this thing probably gets thrown out. That's just kind of my take on it because there are likely terms of service that are buried on there. I mean, all the calls get
Right.
recorded, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yes.
we can go back and listen to every single call we have with the
Mhm.
consumer because of our partnership with Zillow. So I don't see that as being any different. And we're in Pennsylvania. So it's just that the problem is that the laws vary from state to state and there's not a universal expectation. So whatever happens in New Jersey might be okay, but not in Pennsylvania or somewhere else.
But maybe the terms will have to be more apparent. Maybe there's going to be sections in the chart instead of burying that deep inside the terms or
Right.
nobody reads. Maybe something positive will come out of it. But because there was a couple of lawsuits, there's another one in Illinois and then a second one in Pennsylvania.
Right. Or maybe like instead of just having it be like accept at the end, there's like a couple places that you have to like initial
Mhm.
throughout that maybe like, I mean, I doubt that they're going to do this,
Right.
but maybe like bolded something that was like important there.
Right.
No shot of happening.
But
Right,
but what
right.
do you think?
Definitely
People
not gonna-
people are going to accept it anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, do you want
They
to
want
use
to go
Zillow?
look at the homes. They want
Right.
to go look at the homes.
Exactly. It's like everything you sign up for, every app
yeah.
that you use, you have to
Yeah. You're just like,
accept terms. And it's like
fine, come on.
another thing I have to accept. Yeah. Yeah.
Double click, whatever.
Some of them try to make you read it like you have to scroll. to the
right.
bottom.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's funny. So do you think this lawsuit gets thrown out?
I don't know. If it does, I think it's gonna come back around.
Wait, but so the one person that did successfully sue Lowe's and Expedia?
Well, they have a lawsuit pending.
Oh,
I
they have a
mean,
lawsuit pending. Okay, so we don't know what the result is going to be there
Mhm.
either.
Is that the class action?
That's a different lawsuit. So
Oh.
this is the gentleman from, I'm assuming it's a gentleman, Jamie Huber from Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And he named Zillow, Lowe's, and Expedia. And they are identical class suits. So they're not class action. And they're talking about the session replay violating wiretapping laws, which the Pennsylvania wiretapping laws are pretty serious. I mean, we have a section in the listing contract that says sellers, you can't intercept audio communications from buyers, which people have done, by the way, many times. They'll say, oh, well, I saw this person do this, or I heard them say they were interested. And I'm like, the showing happened literally 30 seconds ago. How did you get this information without kind of knowing what's going on? And I think at our training today, we talked about this, where I think the one of the homes someone showed, they saw microphones all over the house.
Yeah.
So I don't think folks get it enough that it's illegal to do these sort of things. Now, Zillow and Lowe's and Expedia, I would argue they probably do understand what's
Yes.
going on because they have attorneys. But the consumer themselves, I mean, this is a pretty serious thing. I mean, even like a Ring doorbell you can hear what's
Right.
going on outside the house.
Well, I mean, the consumer themselves like didn't get these things or put them in. I wouldn't think in most cases. Like I doubt that they got the Ring doorbell right before they were going to list it just to like intercept and hear what people said or what they look like or who all came or whatnot. I think it's just, it's not intentional when they leave it on by accident. If they like in most cases, I would imagine versus for these other sites, like they specifically built this in and like made it part of their system in order to gain that info.
But in general, I mean, people's data is constantly being used to help businesses make
everything.
smarter decisions. And I don't even blame these I shouldn't say that. I don't blame companies for trying to get a competitive edge and using the data that they have to get better. I mean, Zillow's in a very highly competitive marketplace. Lowe's and Expedia, all very similar. By the way, Rich Barton founded both Expedia and Zillow. So I don't think this is a coincidence here either that both of these are being
Right.
named, which, and his goal was to take the professionals out of the transaction more successfully with Expedia than with Zillow so far. So that's the competitive edge. That's what his game plan is. I don't know about Lowe's. I can't speak to them as much, but they got a lot of competitors. They got to deal with Home Depot and all these other companies that are massive companies that are out there.
Right.
So how do you instruct your clients knowing that these things are something that we deal with pretty commonly? I mean, we know what sellers are supposed to do, but what do you tell buyers? Because just because sellers are supposed to do things doesn't mean that they're actually doing them.
As far as buyers being recorded and
Well, like you go into a house, what do you tell people?
Well, I always tell the buyers, especially if they start talking about sensitive information, let's wait, we'll step outside. We can talk about it later. I like to I don't even like to say anything inside homes, just in the off chance that there's an Alexa, what are they? Yeah,
Alexa,
the other, and Siri, because people have these things in their homes. So it's just better to tour the house and get out,
Right.
and then you can have your conversations.
Right. I like to preface my clients just that like they could be recording things. Like there could be, it's best that we don't give anything away. Like we'll talk outside.
Well, and it came out today. One of the agents on our team, they walk into a house and they say Alexa off immediately when they walk in, just to turn off the device, which I think is pretty clever. I mean, I would just not say anything. I like your strategy just as much. If you got something you don't want people to hear, don't say it inside of someone else's house.
That's right.
Which is easier said than done because I feel like
all that
as-
emotion, right?
Right. Or like you see something and it like makes you think of a question that then like leads to something else. And so it is, it sounds very straightforward, but it is something that you have to like continually be mindful of, just because, there's, questions can come up and things can come out without even realizing it.
I mean, I've been recorded on listing appointments before where we kind of we saw a recorder underneath like a piece of paper, and I'm like, I have nothing to hide here, but what the heck is going on? I mean, it just doesn't build trust.
Right.
And that's the thing I don't like about it. I mean, I wouldn't want to feel that someone feels taken advantage of, or they said something they shouldn't have. And look, in these homes, when you're touring them, one comment can cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
Right.
we'll pay $400, but let's start at $380, Stacey.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to give anything away.
Right. Right.
It's competitive enough out there. You don't need anything to hurt your case. So it's just like you said, Tom, if you don't want anybody to hear what you're saying,
Right.
and don't speak out loud like that in the house. Yep.
So I don't think this suit goes anywhere. That's my prediction. I would imagine that the government's going to step in and actually have some legislation around this if they can ever get anything done, which is a whole other story. This is something that needs to get addressed, though, because it's constantly an issue. People are worried about data. I mean, Facebook's constantly under fire for this stuff. Google is. There needs to be some sort of like, hey, here's what you can and can't do, and then that's it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
Probably not anytime soon.
So, do you think the suit sticks? What do you two think?
I think it really depends. If it's totally thrown out, somebody's going to keep at it. That's what I think. They're pecking away.
Yeah. Right. This might just be the initial
Mhm.
attempt. I think it's something we're still going to be talking about quite a while from now.
All right. Fair enough. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and believe it or not, the best week to buy a home, all you buyers listening out there, very important. The best time to buy a home is next week. And we're going to tell you why, according to a lot of data from Realtor.com and our friends at Broke Agent Media. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now, here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestateScholarshipProgram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole. All right. We are back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. She's Sarah Tymon. We've got Nick Wolf behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. So buyers rejoice. The best week to buy a home is coming up here the week of September 25th. you're probably hearing this thinking, what in the hell are they talking about? And let me give you some stats. This is from realtor.com. It's the 4th annual best time to buy report. And they go through a bunch of statistics why it makes sense to purchase a home next week. So all the buyers that have been waiting, this is your time. So call your agent, get out there, get ready to go. In all seriousness, there are some statistics here. So I want to kind of hear what you have to say about it, and we can break this down a little further. So why is it the best week? Or maybe why would people be hesitant to buy right now might be the first question. What do you two think? Because this is constantly something we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, I think rates are something that certainly come into play. And just inventory, depending on what area that they're looking in, I would say would be 2 big ones.
And some people still don't want to waive contingencies.
Sure.
And that's still what we're seeing.
Yeah. Now, for this, when it's saying it's their 4th annual best time to buy report, do they always pick this week, or does it has it changed year to year? And this year, this is the best week.
It has changed year to year, and this is the best week.
Okay.
In 2022.
Okay.
So here's the reasons, and we'll just go through and agree or disagree. So, more than 6% of listed homes have reduced prices. There's a savings on average of $20,000 relative to the summer's peak price that we saw, which I would agree the market did peak in the summertime for sure. There's roughly 46% more homes to choose from compared to the average week of the year. That's a pretty significant number.
Mm-hmm.
Days on market is expected to be 15 days longer compared to the peak in the summer, and demand is 26.9% lower than this year's peak week and 8.5% lower than the average. So what do you make of those statistics?
It all points to a great time for buyers to get out there and start looking and get under contract. I like these statistics here. I think it's very positive news for the buyers. I think that buyers should be excited instead of just focusing on, interest rates rising. Focus on these positive numbers. The homes possibly being on market a little bit longer. It really depends on the house, though.
Sure.
It really depends. But I do see that there's inventory there that's been on for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
It still might not be there too much longer, but definitely there's some opportunity to be had. The savings, I mean, that's always a positive if that's the case. Again, I think it's per listing, per home.
Sure.
Because they would argue, well, I have to go over asking price in order to get the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is all positive news. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting for buyers that there's something to look forward to here, something that like you're shining as the buyer. Maybe you've got a little bit more opportunity. And I think like from the perspective of wanting to like get back out there, especially if like, I don't know, your heart's been broken a couple of times by losing a couple of different houses. It's kind of nice to be like, this is get out and like give it another go. You've got real opportunity and see what your options are.
And you look at this data here. So historically, inventory does peak in early fall. We do see kind of a bump of inventory right when we get to this time of year. Kids are back in school. People are done vacationing. Throw out the past 2 years. I've seen that year after year. And there's a lot of indicators that we're going to see more listings. We talked about what we saw in our marketplace in the first segment. It's been a 33% increase roughly in inventory from when it was at its lowest number in the spring and summer here in the greater Philadelphia area to where we are now through the end of August. So that alone is a reason buyers should be there, because the biggest complaint for buyers has been, I can't find a home that I want to buy. It's not even the rates. It's that there's nothing they want to buy, or they're losing out constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is really important. And there's also, a lot of buyers that have dropped out because of the increase in rates. I don't see that as a negative for a lot of buyers. I see it as a negative for the buyers that were buying because of interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's not the right reason to buy a home.
Right.
The right reason to buy a home is because you want to live there. You want to have an asset that's going to appreciate instead of paying your landlord's mortgage, which, feel free to pay my mortgage if you want. I mean, that sounds great. So there's always people that drop out from the spring and summer. That's when we see the heaviest shopping. And to me, And Warren Buffett says this: you want to buy when other people aren't. So I think this is a really smart way to look at this here. And just the fact that you have some time to make a decision, the manageability of, I can think about this tonight,
Right.
not
Mhm.
even a week, tonight.
Mhm.
I can talk to somebody and not make a decision in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Those things are really helping as well. So there are some key statistics here because everyone's looking at the extremes instead of the change from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And that's really what a real analysis should be. Where were we and where are we now? Danielle Hale, chief economist at realtor.com, she went on to say that after several years of an overheated housing market, great descriptive word there, overheated, it really sums it up. Higher mortgage rates are helping usher in more regular season trends, which have pros and cons for shoppers. If you're flexible in your timing and you can budget for higher rates, early fall can be a great time to secure a home, with a number of factors aligning to make it the best time of year in both terms of price and competition, especially for first-time home buyers and others who are not trying to sell a home at the same time as their purchase. So anyone that doesn't own a home right now, or they don't have to sell to buy at the same time, there's a huge advantage.
Mhm.
So how are you going to communicate this to buyers? I mean, the week is the week. Are you showing them this data? What are you two doing out in the field right now? Because this is, to me, where realtors really have the ability to help people, is parse them through all this negativity like we talked about at the beginning of the show versus something like this that uses actual data to sum up the market.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend. I think it always depends on what type of buyer you have, how they like to be interacted with and what type of information works well with them. So if this is somebody, like, this could potentially be an article that you could just send over to some clients that maybe like to, kind of see some facts, see something coming from an outside party, like, hey, this isn't me saying this. This is what this is what's being predicted. Um, so I think that's like this could be a great way to communicate to those buyers. And then I think for some others, just kind of really hammering in that there's opportunity out there, and then maybe send them over some listings that you think would be a good fit, and see if you can get out there and take a look.
I think it's great. I really love all this data. I'm going to utilize this. I'm going to put together some mailers and email them over to some of my clients who I know have been kind of pulled back a little bit. So maybe this will help pique their interest and send them some listings. But I think that you really have to be on top, because most folks are listening to all the bad news out there.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of it. I mean, it's constantly in your face with negativity. So if you can bring them some positive news and what's really going on in our local market, not just what's nationally going on, I think it's so valuable. They need to hear what's really truly going on here,
Right.
because they might miss the opportunity, and
Mhm.
that's what you don't want.
Right.
Imagine if you did a video explaining all this to all your clients. And I mean, I know you've both have done these like mini like bomb videos, like the ones you can send out to people, because when you get these like long text emails or it explains
Mhm.
it all, it's, hey, here's 4 things that are happening right now that are going to make it easier for you to buy a home. And you just explain them one at a time and just use the stats and then attach the article to it. I'm clear that's going to be the best way, but then you want to follow it up with one further step. And I think you know where I'm going with this. You call them after you send the
Yes.
video and say, hey, did you get the video I sent? I know you've been on the fence. Did you get a chance to look at that data here and see how the market's moving in your favor? Are you still thinking about making a real estate decision between now and the end of the year? And I would argue the people that buy now, they're the most savvy home buyers. I would not want to be competing with all the folks in the spring. Now, sometimes there's the one house you have to have, and it's on like this street or
Right.
whatever
Right.
else. But if you're looking just to buy a home, and people that don't own a home right now probably fall into that category, they're trying to figure out where they want to move to. They don't want to pay
Mhm.
rent anymore,
Yep.
Mhm.
or they've already sold their home. Maybe they're living with a relative or something like that. The most savvy buyers, this is when they transact. I see huge opportunity in the market for those people that have been waiting and waiting.
Mhm.
Obviously, rates have gone up a little bit. Competition's going to be less. We've seen some other things move in their direction. So for the agents listening, video, attach the article, call them in a couple days. That to me is how you win with something like this. And I see a training on the horizon for our team about all this, where we're going to be like explaining this verbatim to everyone here. So I think it's going to be really, really helpful.
Yeah. I think this is exciting.
So how are you two going to execute on this information? Put you on the spot here.
Well, I already did a bomb earlier today about the homeowner equity over the past year. So, because I want all the people who have not bought a house to understand how much equity year over year they can, and like you said, Tom, why do you want to continue paying rent?
Mhm.
So this way you're going to build equity, and it's projected to continue year over year. You're going to have equity in your home. And for folks who have a home to sell, um, you have a lot of equity in your home. So you can utilize that equity many different ways. You can cash
Sure.
out if you're relocating somewhere else.
Mhm.
So it's still a great time to transact, either side, buying or selling, or both, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I would like to maybe like put together a bomb and attach this article and get it out to um, you know, a chunk of my buyers that I've been talking to for a while that have maybe kind of flip-flopped through the different cycles that we've kind of seen and the different shifts. And just make them aware of what's going on and that this is the time to get out there if they're serious.
So, and when you do that, you automatically become the expert in the marketplace because no one is talking about this stuff right now.
Mhm.
Most what realtors do is they either like make fun of their clients on social media, which is ridiculous,
That is horrible.
horrible. I mean, that's why they all fail.
It's like, right.
Um,
So bad. Like
yeah,
grade school or
I
something.
mean, I don't get it. So they either do that or they boast about how they just sold a home, which nobody cares about, especially the buyer who can't find a home, right? Like
Right.
that, like that's the last thing they
Right.
want to see. Great, they found someone else a home. What about me?
Right.
Am I
Where were you
chopped
for me?
liver? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
So there's that component. This is how you market in 2022, and I would argue it's probably been the whole way to market. And more importantly, this is how you convert. Right? If you were to send someone a 2-minute video, because I don't think you need more than 2 minutes for this, and you can explain these 4 things versus sending some long email that's full of text.
Mhm.
Right.
I don't know about you two. If I get an email that's longer than like 2 paragraphs,
Oh Lord.
what are
Yeah.
the
Right.
odds you're reading
Ugh.
that?
Slim to none.
0.0 would be
Right.
my the odds for myself. So I see a lot of value in that, and this is a huge opportunity for agents just to take the information that's out there and communicate it in a way that clients can see. So, knowing that's the case, I mean, do you feel any objections might come out of these 4 points? Because it's really prices are and they're talking about reduced price, meaning there's price adjustments. It's
Mhm.
not bid automatically above the asking price anymore, and that's consistent with what we've seen in the marketplace where earlier in the year we saw like 102 to 103% list to sales price ratios
Mhm.
in the suburban counties. Now it's down to 101 to 101.4%. So we're seeing that they're selling for less above the asking price.
Mhm.
And so reduced prices, more listings, less competition, more time to decide. Anything you think people might object to in these 4 points?
I mean, if you give them the data for over how much over list price it's going for, potentially, I guess an objection could be, well, then let's wait a little bit longer and see if that continues to go down. And I think there, what you would have to do is, figure out what their situation is and maybe calculate like,
Agreed.
all right, well, okay, we don't know exactly what's going to happen next with this particular trend, but we can give you the projections also for, how much appreciation you're going to get once you get in. And if you're renting, calculate out what your rental is to,
Right,
because there is a
those
cost to
costs.
waiting. So
Yeah.
I think, potentially that's one that could come up, but, I think there's a workaround there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Love that. And I think it's more that you bring it back to the motivation, right?
Right.
Like if they're serious
Yes.
about moving, then
Yes.
they're going to move. And I've seen people move in all kinds of markets here. Some people aren't that serious or they're not ready, and they're
Right.
using that as an excuse not to transact because moving is such a big endeavor. So I totally agree with that. Anything you feel like that they might have missed in this article here, or anything that buyers or sellers should be looking at?
I mean, I would say, you know, we talked about inventory like bumping up a little bit here, but we're still not at a balanced market. So I think that if you are a seller, um, now is still a good like I think it's a good time to be on either end of the transaction, to be honest. Like I think you know, I think if you're a seller, also get out there.
So they broke this down for the best time to buy in markets. So we're in the Philadelphia metro area, obviously. So I mean, we're kind of in that same range there now, where they look at active listings versus the average, views per property versus peak, days on market versus peak. So our numbers are stacking up right with everyone else, and the whole point is that the stuff we've been saying is statistically proven to be true. And I think that's the validation I get out of this article more than anything else because You should see the comments that we get on some of these shows. Oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Some guy told me the market was going to go down 80% the other day, and I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Oh my
I said I'll take the under. I'm like, what do you want to bet? Like, I'm in. So this validation I love because the data is actually proving it out. It's just that the challenge is people see these headlines and see all this other stuff. They don't look at the data here. So to me, I look at it that we almost have like an obligation to get this information out. Like, and that's what a great agent is going to do.
Yeah, we have to. We have to combat all the
Mhm.
all the incorrect news that's out there surrounding our local market. I think that's an issue. I think it's a problem. Hmm.
Do you ever see people they get, and we got to go in about 30 seconds here. Do you see folks that the headlines sway them from making a good decision from their house for their
Yes.
household?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
how
and-
bad is it?
it's pretty bad, especially when they say, "Oh no, the market's going to crash."
Right.
Like we're headed for a huge recession and the market's going to crash. I mean, some people are really in a panic. It's a shame. I feel bad for them because really nothing is ever as good as it seems and nothing is ever as bad as it seems. It's
Right.
always somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And if people can just be level-headed about things, we know the data that we have today and this is what we have. So instead of putting everything on hold for the what ifs, because you could be holding out for 10 years.
Yeah. Like, what if you never buy a house?
Right.
You
And then
know?
you're going to continue to pay rent. What a
Right.
big waste that is.
Well, then their net worth will drop hundreds of
Yes.
thousands of dollars compared to homeowners. That's really what's at
Absolutely.
stake here. And fear leads to paralysis, and paralysis leads to no action, and then that's where you are. So that's all we got this week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. You want to follow Sarah? She's on Instagram at Ty_Ty_Time. You can follow Stacey at the number 2 Mitchco. You can follow myself, Tom, at Tom Toole 3RD, at Tom Toole 3rd. And we're streaming live every single week. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.